in just 2 seconds, and we're live. So let me just like settle everything up.
Okay.
My Facebook loading, and we are here because our beautiful people come in the comments. The Facebook needs to load. Lovely. All right. Good morning. 63. You know how am I going like step by step. Every mom now, I feel, it's like that mountain I'm climbing, and I'm like, one more. Now I'm just climbing with every number, and it's just making me very, very excited. Good morning, everybody, and good evening from wherever you guys are going to join in. We have yet another very, very beautiful mom. Really, really loved talking to her and connecting with her, and I'm introducing her. Laurette, welcome to the book. And you're amongst like 63 right now, and going to be amongst 100 mothers. It is such an honor to have you here because of what you're doing, and so needed. I totally, totally honor that about you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, because I always say the mother who lives her story tells her story the best. So I am nobody to introduce you. You must introduce yourself.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me here, Shika. This is just amazing. I feel so unbelievably humbled and honored to be part of this like massive global hug of mums. Like I can feel it. I can feel myself linking arms with you and linking arms with all the other beautiful women that are in this book, because there's so much on our planet that needs healing, and there's so many people who need a mum because they have these mum wounds and they just need somebody to come along beside them and give them hope that they can actually reach that connection inside themselves, even if they didn't have it with their mums, even if they end up, having a bad relationship with their mums. They can still have a good relationship with themselves, and they don't need to pass those things on to their kids. So, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to get off onto a tangent so soon. Hi, everybody.
This is the place to go off tangent, because all of us are talking off tangent stuff, and we have Melanie saying good morning to us. Good
Yeah.
evening to us. Sorry, she's here.
Yes, good evening. Yes, of course. Time zones all over the world. Anyway, I'm from New Zealand, hence the accent, but I live in Seattle. I'm in Washington. I've been living here for 25 years. I have 4 children, been married 33 years, I think. And I am a licensed neurolinguistics associate practitioner, which means I work with the language of the emotional brain. I'm a certified life coach as well. I've been coaching for 15, 16 years now. So that's just kind of a general overview of me. I live above the beach. I have a beautiful sea view. I love what I do. It's amazing.
So when you say what is it, what do you mean by I understand the emotional language, all right?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just like dive straight in, because the emotional brain actually speaks a different language than the thinking brain. So the thinking brain, it talks more in charts and tables and logic and reason, and the emotional brain speaks in all 5 senses, but predominantly she communicates, and I refer to her as a she, in sights and sounds and in sensations. And when you learn to speak the language of the emotional brain, and you learn to speak to yourself through these modalities, that's when you can start, I don't actually like the phrase rewiring your brain. It's when you actually start healing yourself from the inside out. There is so much that an image can tell. I mean, it's like the fact that you're a photographer. I know you will get this, because I know, Shika, that you take photos and you see things that other people don't even see for themselves, right? Because you're looking through this image. You're basically one of the languages of the emotional brain in body form. It's just absolutely beautiful. So one of the issues that happens, though, is when we have this emotion that comes up that we don't know what to deal with. And a lot of the time for women, it's shame, or it's blaming yourself, or it's that inner voice that we call the inner critic or the inner bully. It will start, telling us nasty things about ourselves. You're not enough. You're never going to be good enough. Nobody's going to like you. You're not popular. And the way that we are taught to deal with it in society is to use a thinking brain modality, which is reason. That comes in the form of an affirmation. So if you don't feel enough, we're taught to use the affirmation, I am enough, right? The reason that it doesn't actually work to change what's going on in your brain is because you're actually speaking to the wrong part of the brain. Because if you have to use that affirmation, I am enough, you kind of have to use it over and over and over and over and over again. There's a reason why you have that belief, that thought, that feeling inside of you. And when you trace that back and you begin to heal that, you never need that affirmation again, because you've actually changed the way that you see yourself. And when you change the way you see yourself, everything starts to change in your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting, because I haven't heard that. What I've been hearing is repetition is everything. Repeating things again and again is what's going to, writing it again and again. Writing affirmations will change. So I think if I'm right, what you're saying is that it does change, but takes longer to change it, because you have to keep doing that. It's rather you work onto your emotional language and understand that and relate to that, and then things change much
A
more easily.
lot faster, yeah, and permanently, because okay, so basically the practice that I do with women is I work with a lot of memories. So it's not regression work, it's not hypnotherapy, it's nothing like that, but it's this process called memory reconsolidation in neurolinguistics. And what that means is that whenever you think of anything in the past that's happened, especially a traumatic moment, it's like it gets unstuck from your brain and your brain watches it like a movie. Right?
Right.
We watch things that happened in our past. We hear that recording, and we kind of put an interpretation on it, which is why some things we'll listen to a conversation or an argument we had with somebody, and it'll get worse in our minds, and we'll feel worse about it as we replay it over and over. What we want to do using the language of the emotional brain is trace back to where that problem actually entered your life and change the way that the modality represents that memory,
Right.
so that it sits differently in your brain. And you're not going back and changing anything that happened, right? But you're changing the fact that because when we replay a memory, it's still happening every day. I mean, I was raped. My grandfather started raping me when I was 7 years old. And I had that on repeat in my life until I learned to go and reprogram the way that memory sat in my brain. It stopped it happening for me in my mind, because our brain doesn't have a timeline, right? Our brain knows now, whether we're thinking about the past or we're thinking about the future, it's all happening now. And so when you learn to start harnessing the power of that and speaking to yourself and speaking to your memories in a way that heals you, you don't need to do all that exhausting repetition. You don't need to convince yourself, because you've changed the way the memory sits in the brain. It's an absolute, it blows me away every single time I get to take a woman through this. It's crazy.
It is, because, and what's so fascinating is that where the human research, like humans don't stop, right? They are going to dig deep and to find out how to undo, if I might say this thing, how to undo a lot of things that's been done in our brain. I think it just came to my mind right now that most of the things that we're trying to do by helping people, we are undoing a lot of things which our brain has created, which was not meant to create. And then
Yes.
the undoing is what's happening, because the more I'm speaking to coaches, I'm like we're just we just keep you don't like the word rewiring, but
But it is the easiest way to you're changing the way that information travels through your brain, which is basically rewiring your neurological pathways. And as I was saying, I mean, a lot of it comes back to the fact that, women, we deal with a lot of blame, right? And we deal with a lot of self-shaming. And it's because we are taught from a really young age to measure ourselves in every single form. And there's this cycle called the blame cycle. And it starts off with a measurement. You experience a measurement, the thought of a measurement. And as soon as that happens, a judgment is made. Whether you come out on top or you come out on bottom is irrelevant, because a judgment is made, right? As soon as a judgment is made, and if it's like, I'm not good enough, well, now we need to find somebody to blame for that feeling of judgment. This is the way the cycle goes: measurement, judgment, blame. As humans, what we do is we look outside of us to try and find somebody to blame. And when that doesn't happen, which a lot of the time it doesn't, we blame ourselves. right? And as women, we're really good at doing that. Something happens with one of our kids, we blame ourselves. It must be my fault. I mustn't be a good enough mum. And then when that happens, the last step of the cycle is to punish. Because as soon as blame has been assigned, the brain has to go to the punishment stage. And the punishment produces guilt and shame, which then starts off the measurement again. And so, what you can do as soon as you feel that judgment coming, because judgment's not really very helpful, right? Nobody enjoys it, and we don't have to do it. There's actually another whole way to experience life. As soon as you feel the judgment, all you need to do is stop and ask yourself, what was I experiencing just before the judgment came? Because then you're going to understand the measurement. You can push the rewind in your brain, and you can watch the scene again, and you can say, oh, this is where the measurement came in. Judgment, this is how I was feeling. This is what was going on for me. And when you begin to get into the habit of that, you start to see patterns. And the reason the patterns are important is because the patterns show you your stories. The stories are important because they show you your beliefs, right? And then the beliefs are important because they show you how the belief came into your life and what that need is. And it's exactly what you're saying, that a lot of the work is going in and undoing, because, that the common belief in society is that, beliefs are limiting, right? We have these limiting beliefs that come into our lives that hurt us. And I tend to approach it a little bit differently. I tend to ask myself and ask women, the belief that you have, what purpose has it served in your life? Because it has served a purpose. I blamed myself for my grandfather raping me, because most children do. But the thing is that I didn't just blame myself for that. I was blame. And so I blamed myself for everything in my life. Like I was suicidal. I had extreme, severe, crippling PTSD and panic disorder for decades. And it wasn't until I was actually in my mid-40s, and I am so fed up with having blame in my life, because I'd tried to do these blaming release ceremonies, and I'd gone to retreats, and I'd seen therapists, and I couldn't seem to shake it. I tried affirmations, I tried mantras, I tried all these programs, and I couldn't shake it. And so I finally sat down on my bedroom floor one day, and I just asked myself very quietly and very stillly, blame, what purpose have you served in my life? How did you help me? And instantly, the answer I got was, when I was 7, I was this incredible, bubbly, effervescent, loving child. And when my grandfather started raping me, my world fell apart and nothing made sense anymore. And so my brain saw that I had a need for my world to make sense. And so it said, it was your fault. And I'm like, oh, if it's my fault, that means my world makes sense. And I can, at least I don't like it, but at least I know how to interact with the world. And so at 47, I realized, oh my gosh, blame has actually helped me. And I've been trying to fight it for all these years. And so then I was able to ask myself, do I still need to have blame as a concept in my life in order for my world to make sense? It's like, no, I don't, because now I'm 47 and I understand accountability and decisions. And it's not like I had to let go of blame. It's like the whole concept of blame left me. And I stopped apologizing all the time. And I started thanking people, like thanking my kids. Thanks for waiting for me. Thanks for doing the dishes, rather than apologizing all the time. And it started to change the dynamics in my home. And it was all because I sat down and accepted the fact that the belief I had must have helped me somehow. I found that need, and I met that original need in a new and more helpful way. And my whole paradigm of life changed.
Right.
It was incredible.
You are incredible. I must confess one thing, Laurette, that like out of my 63 interviews, I love each mom, but I'm going to see this interview again, what you just spoke, because you said so many things. You said so many things. I'm going to watch this again, and I'm going to urge people to watch what you just mentioned again and again, because this is just amazing. This is just amazing solution to what it's amazing what you're saying, because as this work is I'm very inquisitive about mind, and I'm very inquisitive about how to solve things, but this definitely has brought me, you've just thrown me into a thinking space right now, and said, yes, what you're saying is absolutely true. And what
Yeah,
came
and
to,
it's
yeah, go ahead.
it's so honoring toward yourself, instead of trying to run away from these things that you have in your life, you turn toward them. And you, because the emotional brain also speaks in sounds, so you learn to listen to them in a different way, because that inner voice that can be really, she sounds really mean, right? All she wants is to be listened to
Right.
and validated. And everybody on the planet, every woman, men as well, but I work with women, wants to be seen and wants to be heard and wants to be loved. But we spend so much of our lives looking for somebody else to do that for us and validate us, when all we need to do is turn inside, because every answer we have is inside us. And look, if I hadn't have blamed myself for what happened with my grandfather, I wouldn't have met that need for sanity. I mean, I was a pretty messed up teenager. I'm going to admit I was not very focused in school, shall we say. I did not go to college at all. I just started working straight away. I was a court stenographer, and then I was a secretary. Thought I was just a waste of space, like I'm not even a professional woman. But then years later, when I started homeschooling my children, because the fact that I was sane and that I had this, it wasn't a wholly helpful view of the world that I was to blame for everything, but at least it gave me a platform that I could function and work from. And I ended up being able to write the majority of my kids' curriculum. And here I am thinking I'm such a useless waste of space because of these jobs that I had. And yet my kids were national semi-finalists in team policy debate within their first and second year of high school. There's no way they wouldn't have got that if I hadn't have been a court stenographer sitting next to a judge recording evidence and argumentation for 2 years. I became a meticulous record keeper in homeschooling, and there's no way I would have had that skill if I hadn't been a secretary. And so I just believe that as mums, we tend to disrespect our pasts, and yet there's things in our past that are completely preparing us for what we need to raise our children up into the genius that they've been called to, because every single kid is placed with the specific mother that is needed to call it out in them. And we carry so much guilt as mums, and we just don't need to.
Wow, I mean, you're totally talking. Uh, I mean, I think this a lot of moms needed to hear, and I'm so glad what you're saying. And Melanie is here, and she's going to reply. Melanie, you need to interview Laurette for your visionary parenting interview, because Melanie is part of the group that's come up with visionary parenting, and some of them also promote homeschooling. And this is such a beautiful story of homeschooling, Melanie. And Melanie, you must connect to Laurette and get her on for an interview. That's what I'm trying to do now here. I'm hoping that each mother is interviewed 99 times by 99 other mothers on their platform. So each mom gets 99 stages to do and show. And I think the ripple effect will start when you have 100 spaces, including this space, to do it. Okay, before you do that, my son is lying down on my here on the floor. I just have to
Oh,
ask him
he
what the problem.
is.
Sorry.
Oh, hey, Therese. Hi, Wilma. Hi, Melanie. Sorry, I'm now like, I picked my phone up so I could see you guys commenting.
Yes,
So, yeah,
they are.
I can see the
Most
comments, which is
definitely,
fun.
yes, Melanie. She's successfully done homeschooling, and we must bring this part of Laurette out as well, because now her youngest kid is 20 years old.
He's 20. Yes, my youngest is 20, my oldest is 27. And my youngest is just starting to apply into PhD programs. He's just kind of a geeky. he just
So
always has been.
the
Hmm?
homeschooling part is done. The homeschooling part is done,
Yes.
and this part of
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I do miss it. I miss having little kids more, to be honest. And I do miss the teenage years of homeschooling, because it was so much fun doing high school. It's a lot of work. I had to take a step back from coaching because my kids really, really needed me. And of course, I was so happy to do that. But it's amazing to see them going on and fulfilling what they really believe they've been called to in life. And hey, I screwed up so many times as a parent. Hello, how many of us do, right? If we never make a mistake, how on earth are our kids ever going to know ever hear us ask for forgiveness,
Right.
right? Us
Right.
humble ourselves and say, hey, I really feel like I could have done that better. And that's just, it's such a great dynamic to have with a kid when they're a little bit older anyway. And I don't, never liked boxing my children in. I always liked them being able to flourish in the area that they were, whatever that was,
Yes, yes.
you
I
know.
mean, to have that kind of a focus and confidence that you can do it, many mothers need that. Many mothers need that they can, and they can come out of their daily stuff. If homeschooling is what is needed, it's needed. You need to do it, and I think now more and more people are talking about, like people like Melanie and her whole group are talking about what parenting is and where it is, and homeschooling and many things that is happening, which is a great gift to the world of mothers. And
I agree. My speaking of that, my 20-year-old, right, who's his future is a PhD in philosophy. He didn't even read till he was 8 years old.
right,
And I just let him think. He just wanted to think, and so I let him think because,
yeah,
yeah, of this belief that there's something in him that wants to come out, and I don't want to. I don't want to push it. I want it to wait for it to come out in an age appropriate way, and it did, but it was scary. It
oh,
was scary trusting it and sitting and waiting. It was not easy at all. Um, but when I taught my kids, so I didn't really teach them subject. I used the subjects to teach them critical thinking. And I had this beautiful chart on critical thinking. And at each stage, it would show which level of the ladder of critical thinking you were on. And you wanted to get to kind of the bottom rung, which was like, making judgments and analysis and then judgments. But at every stage it had verbs in there that would show what that level of critical thinking looked like. And so I would look at them in each of their subjects and I'd see what type of activities they were engaged in. And I'd had this is my Bible for homeschooling. I had it on my fridge. Then, okay, I can see that they're doing that. That means that they're here in this area. And so then I could set them assignments that would take them down to the next level of critical thinking, because my goal as a homeschooling parent was to teach my kids how to think. And I used the subjects to teach them how to become lifelong learners. Like with Salmia and Mazrat, when they were on your show and they were both talking about education, it was so empowering and so beautiful. There are young mums that need that message
right.
because we're told so many different things by the school system, and we want to take that and we want to use our own wisdom
Yeah,
as well.
it's amazing, Laurette. And that's what I'm telling you. Yours is definitely one interview that I'm going to listen, because you're throwing such amazing stuff that needs to be a little. I think, if I may say it this way, will help me interview the next mothers who are coming up. I don't know why I feel that, because you've dropped a lot of stuff about moms, and you've dropped a
Yeah,
lot of stuff about children, and I think this I must use it like a tutorial right now and use it. And because there is something happening, but because I'm live on the interview, I don't know what is, like, there's
it's
a lot
that.
of downloads happening, and I
Yeah,
live, so I'm unable to like pick it up. And I know that when I sit with my pen and paper and when you're talking, I feel that the next 37 moms who are coming will get something, connected to that. So these things that are happening to me. And just the other day I was talking, and Melanie's here as well. I was talking to Maria, who's also a healer, and I was telling her. And since then, a lot of stuff has opened up for me, in seeing a lot of things. And I was just saying that when I'm talking about the undoing, right? And I
yes,
was saying that I had this visual, because I'm a total visual, like all my reasoning, all my everything has to come through me visually. Like if I can see it, I know the answer, I know everything. So um uh and conversations somehow. And I was talking to her, and then this visual came of these kids and me, like, or mothers being wrapped up into layers and layers and layers, as we are growing. And I have this image, if you understand, if Melanie understands. Therese is here as well, and Vilma, thank you so much for joining in. But we become so small, and then I feel this white wrapped up, like your bandages, but the layers
hmm,
and layers and layers being wrapped up on us since we are like kids and we are growing up. And then we start shrinking inside, and then this is white ball which I feel, okay. And then I feel that through like this is what I feel right now, because COVID and everything, a lot of things have got, and a new baby in the house, a lot of things have got wrapped up around my son. And then I sometimes feel when he can't hear me and I can't hear him, it's because of so much is wrapped up around us. And then I see those wrapped up stuff as perceptions, beliefs, COVID, and lack of, like, he's not going to school, he's not meeting friends, so more things in his head, more things in my head.
Yeah.
And uh, you know, so now when I'm talking to him since that day, I'm like he can't hear you, like brush past at least your thick layer and then talk to him so that at least the sound can reach. And it's a very crazy thing that I mean, there might be a lot of books written and everything, but when I see that visual, and I started applying this to many people last 2 days, and what happens is I feel that I'm talking, I start dissolving the white bandages kind of a thing, and I suddenly feel I can speak and I can feel and I can hear the other person better, even if they are still wrapped up, but there's some less layer from my side, if I make sense to what I'm understanding. So that's the visual I got from that interview.
I
And I'm
love
trying to
that.
apply it. And every time I'm talking and I'm feeling stuck somewhere because a lot of parallel things keep happening to you, and then I'm like, dissolve, like have the visual of dissolving the white around you.
Mm-hmm.
Their white doesn't matter. Don't concentrate how much thick they are and how inside they are talking from. It's like knocking through the layers, right? When I dissolve it, I feel very free to talk, and I feel much calmer. So there's no defense, there's no perception, there's nothing happening, and I can hear them better, and they can hear me better, even through those layers that the other person is talking. If I'm like,
Yeah.
I keep saying, if I'm making sense. So that's what I'm saying. The undoing is dissolving that wrapped up layers around you first, so that you can hear clearly with what the person is saying. And when I'm talking about those dissolving, I'm talking about perception, belief,
Mm-hmm.
judgments, and
And how perfect that you saw them as bandages,
yeah,
because bandages are something for healing and safety, right? If you have a wound, you put a bandage around it, right? A white, clean bandage to protect it. But this is exactly the whole. I've got like chills here, Shika, because this is
I
the.
thought you said bandages, and I'm like, yeah, why was I saying bandages? Like, and that's the visual I have. And now just
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. That is that these beliefs and these perceptions, they come to protect us in some way and keep us safe. And when we see them that way and we soften into them, that's when they start to dissolve. One of the analogies that I use with the women I work with is, if you think of because everybody wants to kind of live free,
right,
without all of those restrictions, right? And if everybody wants to live that, wants to just be able to, like, if people could see me truly, I know they would love me, but we don't want to show ourselves to anybody because we're too scared, right? That's just the human condition. Yeah. And so it's like we're this, what we truly are is we're like the spring living under the earth, right? Just full force, full spirit, put here for a reason, to nourish, to feed, to water some part of the globe. But it's like we've got this big concrete lid, bam, put down on top of our well, on top of the spring. And we think what we're doing is spending our life holding onto the handle, trying to push it up, trying to break out, right? Trying to break out so that we can be free. What we're really doing is we've got two hands on it and we're holding it down as tightly as we can, because we're so scared of what would actually happen if we put those bandages, if we took them off. But then our spirit drives, because our spirit wants to come out. And so as women start to listen to that, they start to trust the scars that they have from their wounds, because that has information that can heal them. They start to listen to that, start to follow that, start to truly believe, understand that the light that they have inside of them is stronger than any darkness that they can encounter. I mean, I started in coaching with sex addicts and sexual abuse victims.
yeah,
And I've just been going that. So I work with a lot of sexual abuse people now, and emotional women with a lot of emotional trauma and then with eating disorders, because a lot of women with emotional and sexual trauma, like what I had as a kid, we dissociate from our bodies, and so often it comes out in some form of an eating disorder. I was actually bulimic for a number of years, and I'm fully recovered now. And that's because I took myself through the process of learning how to speak to my emotional brain and doing a lot of the practical things. You've got to do both of them. And when you have this two-prong approach, that's when you can actually start changing and you start having the success that you really, really want. And that's one of the reasons I love it, because seeing a woman, seeing her light and start to actually like come back to life and remember what it's like to play, remember what it's like to have fun, and then start to get to know herself. Because as mums, so often, especially as the years go on, we lose our sense of who we are, because everything is about being a mum, and we forget ourselves. And especially as our children get older and we don't play on the floor with them as much because they're teenagers, we forget what play looks like. I've talked with women and they're like, I don't even know how to play. I don't even know what would be fun. And I'm like, go on Google Images or your new best friend, and type children at play and go through images and see what looks fun, and then do it. Because if once you start doing it and you're like, oh my goodness, this is actually kind of fun, it starts helping you come back to life. And yeah, if I can get you a little bit of science, between the thinking brain and the emotional brain is this tiny part of the brain called the nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens, part of its job is to help you expand into new territories, into new ways of thinking, especially in your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking brain, right? Children have this naturally. Children are always playing, so they're always curious and they're always learning. As adults, we tend to stop learning because we lose our curiosity because we're not playing. So the way to grow this part of the brain is through play. So if women could just spend more time in play, they would actually start learning how to be more curious and ask themselves those gentle, quiet, curious questions that are going to get the answers that they want, so they can start healing and be who they're designed to be without all of these bandages and barricades, right? So, anyway, I think it's a brilliant vision that you have. I absolutely love it, and it's so
Yeah,
spot
I mean,
on.
it's been with me for last 2 days, and I'm using it. It happens to me, and it's very strange that now that this vision is there, I'm going to use it, and then something new overtakes it, then I start using that. So it happens with situations, new visuals come, and the two things that work for me is either I see it in nature or there's a visual that comes to me. These are the two things that work for me, and that's how this project is coming up through photography, right? It's coming because I'm trying to bring that visual thing to the world and the story through photography. That and there were a lot of things coming to me that I wanted to say, but they've all got dissolved at the moment. There's something that I heard long time back. There's a lady here by Shivani Behan. She's a spiritual mentor to many people, and I just totally love the way she speaks. And she had said that, you know, when like we were talking about an incident, and then the layers and layers and layers and experience gets exaggerated even more in our head. But
Mm-hmm.
she was just saying that, like, I think she used some example of dying or something. She's like, when you die once, right? But or if you get hurt once. But when you start repeating it, you die every day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like every day, even if that incident was only once or twice. But because we carry it for so long, that whole experience is lived every single day. And
Yep.
we like, I think she was at that time, and I heard it years back, and I realized that yes, like if the and I don't know, I always also said that if I asked a lot of, I was very inquisitive because people always told me I'm positively positive, and I don't know how I see positive, whatever. I was always told. But I always ask people that if I ask you today that when was the last time you laughed a lot, people are blank. And
Yeah.
even if I've seen them laughing just like few hours back, in some event, I will say,
Wow.
when did you laugh a lot, like last, when did you laugh a lot? And they would be like, oh, it's been very long, I think. Like, and I'm just like, I just saw you laughing just but it doesn't register
It
that
doesn't
as many
register.
times as we've had painful events, maybe as many times we've laughed and enjoyed as well. But because the repetition is so much of the painful event, and I don't know how we are brain like that, that the negative painful event repetition is so much more than the repetition of the positive laughing joyous moments, that we start believing and hence go down. Do
Mhm.
you like do you feel that people do remember, if something bad happens to us, we can repeat it a million times into ourselves and to the world, but something that amazing happened and it just changed our world beautifully, it takes so much effort to remember it, to
Yep,
listen
it's
to
actually really normal. And the reason is because the emotional brain, its primary need is safety. And so the emotional brain is constantly looking for danger. And so if there's any sense of danger, the emotional brain, which speaks in the five senses, right, predominantly sight, sounds, and sensations, but also smells and tastes, will spark up and say, something important is happening. We need to code this and we need to remember because this is a dangerous situation, right? If it's a pleasurable situation, the brain doesn't really need to remember it. But that's why anytime you're triggered, and so if I'll give you an example. At the beginning of COVID, my husband shaved his head and shaved his beard off. So he came out bald, didn't warn me, walked into the kitchen. And I had one of the most visceral triggers I've ever had in my life. I felt like I was standing in front of my grandfather. And I had dealt with a lot of my triggers, but this one was vicious. And I was not 51 years old, I was 7 years old and I was being raped by it was an awful trigger. And my husband and I we talk about this a lot. And so I told him what was going on. And so he actually was able to go and leave the house and give me some space so I could actually start working through the modalities of the memory, because we have this memory and you're right, it's the memory that sparks. And actually every time you entertain the memory, it's like you make a carbon copy of it in your brain, and you need to deal with all these carbon copies. So there's one of the automatic things you can do is, if there's a memory that you have that's really troubling you, that's scary, that's upsetting, you can you can shrink it down until you see it's in a dollhouse, and now you're a giant and you have stepped out of the memory and you have put it into perspective. You can then take a photo of it and you can put it through a shredder. There's all different things that you can do with your memories to release its grip on you. Didn't stop it from happening, but it stops it from happening every single day or every time that memory is triggered. And finally, you get to the stage where you've processed through and things aren't triggering anymore. Sometimes something will happen and I'll be like, oh, is that a trigger? That used to be a trigger for me. Oh my gosh, it's not anymore. Hooray, and because you start to create this space in your brain between the trigger coming in and you automatically flipping off into that reaction where you go into fight flight mode. And actually, that another thing I'd actually just really love to teach everybody just real quick is have you heard of fight flight? Right, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the reptilian brain,
right,
right?
right,
So, it's emotional brain is concerned with survival. Inside the emotional brain is the lower brain, the reptilian brain goes into fight, flight, freeze, right? But we're actually mammals. We're not reptiles. And so the quickest way, it's one of the things I did for some of my women is teach them how to get out of fight, flight. But one of the things you can do is engage your mammalian brain as opposed to your reptilian brain. And the way you engage your mammalian brain is what you would do to one of your boys if they were upset. Rub their arms, rub their forehead, right? Rub them here. Rub this, you rub a part of your body that you would automatically do if a child is upset. Because when you do this to a child and they're upset, you're automatically helping them engage their mammalian brain. So we can do that to ourselves to get us out of fight, flight, so we can start thinking rationally again. Sorry, that entered my mind. So I wanted to
not
give
only
everybody
sorry,
that because it's a really, really helpful thing to do.
somebody for sure with this conversation. We all want these hooray moments to be able to do that. It's so amazing. Bhavneet is here. She's amazing as well. She works with drones, and I want to talk. Like I've still not got a chance with working, but she works in India with drones. I
Drones.
drones. Yeah, like I fully don't know it. She might have to write what she is, because I
Oh
just
yeah, can you?
yeah,
So
yeah,
cool.
yeah. But I know that she does something very fascinating, and Bhavneet will
Yeah,
have to write that, because when I was in Bangalore, I always wanted to catch hold of her and say, I want to know what you do. And I heard something which is not fully, so I don't want to say it out loud. So Bhavneet can tell us in the comments what she does, and she's amazing. This much I know, that she's
yay.
amazing at what she does. And we will explore that with Bhavneet.
And I
Um,
see Therese is still here. Therese is amazing as well. I love her to pieces.
Oh yeah, yeah, Teresa.
Yeah.
She's our one of our pillars. Vilma is here. She's all of these are moms as well. I make drones for Indian defense. Yeah. See now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
She makes drones, I know, but I didn't want, like, I knew for Indian defense, but I wanted to make sure that I can say it out loud in public. So I wanted her to say the
Oh,
right thing to say. I make drones for Indian defense, yes, and she's amazing. Imagine, going in, doing that every single day, and she's also has a beautiful daughter.
and
So
she must be obviously, she's obviously wicked smart as well.
yes,
Very, very smart to be able to do that. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
even start the drone my child has at home. I would be considered a genius, because he knows that, what my son said, Laurette, just the other day, and thanks to my husband, I went to him. I was like, did you actually tell him that? And he said that I was giving him walnuts, and he's like, oh, my brains are going to become good with walnuts. And so I was like, yeah, it's going to. And he's like, I'm sure you've not had walnuts in your life. So I was like, well, what makes you think that? He's like, oh, you're so forgetful, and your memories must be great. So dad told me that I went to him and I was like, did you actually say this to my son, that I've not had walnuts in my life because I have a bad memory? So I forget things very fast, and maybe I haven't. So I'll go back to my childhood and figure out if I've had walnuts or not.
There
Uh,
you go. Yeah.
so
That's so cute.
yeah. Okay, he's just entered when I was talking. So he's just wondering why am I saying it, and he's 8 years old, so he's saying also almonds, also almonds. So my boy is actually getting ready on the side. Let me tell you this, because when I was doing a research, Laurette, and somebody told me that I have daughters, Shikha, and I must behave myself in my self-image and what I do, because they are, as you are talking about ripple effect. So I told her that I have sons. I better start introducing this to them, because they will be meeting many many women in their life, and they would want to know what's going on, because when you see from their point of view, and I talk to many of my friends and my husband, he's like, we just don't know what's happening. It's just not that we don't want to help. Sometimes we just don't know what's happening, because so much is happening that we don't have the understanding of it, and we are scared to even tap into it, so we try to avoid it. And somehow my son keeps coming in and going in, and sometimes I used to say, why are you in here, you should not be here. But I'm also thinking that maybe all these conversations will somehow make him understand, and he thinks I'm saving some mothers. That's what his definition of what I'm doing these days is.
Hey, it's beautiful.
He's 8 years old, and so just before we going to wrap up, two things. I'm talking a lot about. I actually three things. I must, because I get carried away with mothers so much that I stop talking about the self-portrait, the whole idea of what the movement is all about. So I have to keep repeating, because there are so many new people who keep coming, and they're like, well, her book is called Self-Portrait 100 in, and she's talking about NLP here. What's happening? So I have to keep coming back into my interviews also to remind everybody that what the book is about. And it's called 100 Self-Portrait, 100 Dreams. And self-portrait is the way through which I want these mothers to express and release their stories forever, in a book, in a page. And they're not going to be photographs of like portraits of these moms. They are going to be stories of these moms. Every page is going to tell a story, is going to get some questions in people's mind. And once it's there, we've released it like balloons. And I was in one of the interviews, and this mom said, I've said so many things for the first time in the interview I've never spoken about. So I
Wow.
said, usually what happens, what I'm liking is that at a gunpoint is what we try to release our stories sometimes, because we've got rock bottom, we've touched that, and if we don't do it, we're gone. So at that gunpoint, we tell ourselves, get up now, or you're like on the other side. But the beautiful part was some of these interviews were I say there's a visual of releasing balloons, and we're releasing our stories even for the first time, like these gas balloons just going up colorfully and doing it together as moms, so if we can get that rather than on a gunpoint and do it willingly, not reaching a stage where we have to, but because we want to, because there is a space that we can, I think a lot of good even amongst these 100 women will be done by the time the book comes out. And the self-portrait part is, believe me, a really amazing way of discovering what's happening in your brain as well. And the minute you and the camera are together and you know that, okay, there is a story coming out from here, there's going to be so much conversation, and if we consciously hear it, we will be amazed what's happening between the camera and us. So I want each mother to even explore that part, and that's why this book. And the other thing that I'm talking about, the mother pulse these days. And yesterday I was talking to a mom, and she is going to be invited, but she said a very beautiful thing, and I said, do you know what I'm talking about? What the mother pulse? Every mother I speak to understands that when I say there's a mother pulse. And sorry, I'm still so I'm just gonna have. And she said a beautiful thing. She's like, even the child knows that mother pulse that you're talking about. And she had an incident where there was a boy she randomly met over a walk, and this little boy came and she started chatting up because they just crossed paths and they started touching. Like, you know what? There was a baby deer there and there was no mother. Can you imagine? And he kept on talking about it. At the age of 3 also, he realized that this was odd, that the baby deer did not have a mother, because all the bandages were not wrapped up around him or whatever, or gone away from the pulse. So I was telling her the pulse is so real. She's like, she's not reached at the point where divine femininity, she can feel it. But she's like, when you say a mother pulse, I know I have it. I know I have it. So what do you want? What do you understand about that that I'm talking about? That even a 3-year-old knows it. That there is a mother pulse, which is very important for a baby or any kind of creation or everything. And when that's what it notices, and there's been a poem, before I'll hand over the mic to you right now, which has worked like the poem said, it's called The Terror of a Child. Terror of a Child. And it was a 3-line poem which said, a terror of a child, to call out in the dark, Ma, where are you? And receive only silence in reply. And that is, even today, after 20 years of this poem, it still shakes me. And of course, for me, it's a personal experience as well, because my mom was taken away. And I always related to this poem, and I find that a very terrorizing thing. And for somebody like me, yes, there was a physical taken away, but so many mothers are just not there because they're going through so much. And child keeps saying, Ma, where are you? And the ma can't hear it. She can't hear it. And the bandages and the voice and the loss is so deep that just right next to each other, it happens to me also. Sometimes he has to say it 7 times and I've not replied, and I'm somewhere occupied within myself, even if I'm doing nothing. And then I suddenly shake up because this poem is very conscious. I'm like, she's calling you Ma, at least reply. At least reply that you're there. Yes, what are you saying? And that's a very big terror for a child, to be called and not be replied to. So what do you have to say about this mother pulse, which is so strong and so much needs the attention that we are trying to get through this book?
Well, you think about the fact that every human is grown next to their mother's heartbeat.
Yes.
Right. And when they exit the womb, there is an automatic pull toward the mother. And children that are there's actually, there's a part of the brain that is developed in the baby by being a certain distance from the mother, eye contact, and that's right where the breast is. this from the baby's eyes, whether you're bottle feeding or nursing them, to the mother's eyes, when they look at each other, that helps develop part of the baby's brain. There is a bond that is there. You know, when Hallmark cards, when they started up, in fact, one of the first things they ever did, because they didn't know if like cards would be a thing, if people would even want to buy a card with stuff already in it. And so they had this idea to go out to a men's prison, and they took a whole bunch of Mother's Day cards. And these are hardened criminals. Sorry. And they ran out of cards because every hardened criminal wanted to send his mummy a card for Mother's Day. And these were adult men who had done great harm in society, but they wanted their mummies. They wanted their mummies' love. And so Hallmark is like, we're onto something. Father's Day, they went out to the prison and they took like, we're going to sell out. So we need all these Father's Day cards. Not one prisoner took a Father's Day card. Not one. But every single one of them wanted to talk to their mums on Mother's Day. There is something nurturing and connecting about a mother's heart. And so many people grow up, and you're right, their mothers, it's because we don't see ourselves. We don't take the time to see and hear ourselves, that we don't see and hear our children. And so we're so busy trying to fix ourselves so that we can become better mothers, when all we need to do is start connecting to ourselves, and then the connection happens automatically. And it doesn't matter how old your kid is, that healing can happen, because every kid, like, there's one thing that you know until the day you die that most you want to know, and that's your mother loves you. Your mother's got you. Everybody else in the world may hate me, but my mother loves me. And unfortunately, it's not true all the time, but the majority of the time it is. That's what I love about what you're doing, Shika, because there's so many people in the world who have lost that connection with their mother because women have not been taught how to take care of themselves. We have been taught to shut up, sit down, provide for your husband's needs. You don't get to do your own thing in life, put everything aside, raise your children, and then basically you're just kind of nothing after that. And things are changing now, but we've had this whole generation of mothers who are hurting and don't know who they are because their mothers didn't know who they are. And what you are doing is it's like wrapping a big bandage, but not one to suffocate, one to heal. This beautiful big mum hug around the globe that is going to start helping mums actually heal things inside themselves so that they can connect with their kids. Even 90-year-old mums can connect with their children, a connection that's been lost for years because the kid has this driving need, right, to connect with their mummy. It's all over the planet. And in nature, you're right. You know, if a whale is born, it turns around and it's right by the mother. It's like this beautiful genetic energy that's just gorgeous. Yeah.
And I know this book is just, I yesterday I was talking to this mom again yesterday. I can I in my again visual there is a pulsating, there's a pulse that I keep talking about. There's a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was trying to understand in my conversation with her that, like, yes, there's a generation of moms which are hurt, but now a new generation of women are coming who are saying that we don't even want children. There is a full generation coming up saying it's not worth it to have children. And not to judge, but the thing is that, like, it's all everybody's choice to have children or not to have children, and all that is okay. But I just see this pulse, and what's happened through this pulse I see is that we've shot, like, by being so lost. Now all of us are standing right here, okay? So we can't even see this. It's not necessary to have children, but it's necessary to recognize, like, I can't have children because that's my choice, but I can't children because they're a problem is not the right statement. Like, they're two different things. I don't want to have children, I don't want to get married because I want to do whatever. That's different. But now a lot of the new generation are scared because I don't want to have children because there's a problem, and I don't want to be that problem that that mother is, and that mother is, and that mother is. Did you know that she went to depression? Did you know that? So we've been labeled that, oh, now come on, you've become a mother. When you, these days also say, oh, you're pregnant or you're having a baby. You also hear these lot of passing, joking comments that, welcome to our world, now you know what all will happen to you. So how the whole perception has changing, rather than that joyous thing, or that the thing that, wow, we're going to become a mom. There's so much of them are scared because of seeing so many moms are in
Pass
pain,
on their stuff to their children. Yeah.
and they're also in pain. So
Yeah.
if a daughter is growing up seeing my mom was not listening to me, she was so occupied. And when I asked my mom at the age of 55, what did you want to do? And she said, oh, I wanted to become a doctor, but I couldn't do it because I was a mother. When these kinds of conversations are releasing through us, and I'm not saying I'm some super, I might be doing some conversation that must be coming out as well to my children, not realizing that there is this pulse, and we are the keeper of that pulse, and that pulse responsibility is to release positive stuff so that the world can keep moving forward, and not look at it and say, hey, like, imagine if this pulse dies, what do we have?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Humanity would cease to exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This pulse dies when a bee mom starts to say it's not worth it, when a deer mom starts to say it's not worth it, when a tiger mom starts to say it's not worth it, when a human mom starts to say it's not worth it, we're gone. Only this mother pulse, I'm getting emotional about it, but I'm saying it again and again, only this mother pulse can save us. This mother pulse can't give up. It can't. We can't. And we are the keepers. Like, we've been put as women on this mother pulse. We can't. We cannot release stuff where it said it's not worth it. Like, if the bee, like, maybe if happens to the bee one day and says, my God, every time I'm producing, and there are only 13% left in the world, every time I'm doing, I love bees, that's why I keep talking about bees, but every time I make this whole thing with so much effort, these, people come in, and yes, in nature and food pyramid, it's all okay that a bear comes in and it takes it away and all, but repeatedly being put up and being channelized to be able to monetize it, and then do it. What if, like, they, like, every time, they just say we give up, and that's the extinction. They are giving up. They're sick of trying to do it again and again, and they're sick of saying that sorry, that's the giving up. That's the extinction. The extinction has started of all this because the mother pulse is giving up. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's where the project for me is getting deeper and deeper, because I feel that I need to get the eyes back to the mother pulse. So what do you think of that while I have water?
I think it's absolutely gorgeous, Shika, and I love the way that you have it so. You're actually speaking neurolinguistics. You have it mapped out in such a visual way, but you also have it mapped out in a sensory way, because you're talking about this pulse that I can feel it and hear it as you're talking about it. And I mean, basically, the gift that you're giving the world, it's like this. It's almost like a reawakening of what can be, right? That motherhood doesn't have to be all of these things that has been ascribed to it. Motherhood can come back to simplicity of loving your children, believing in your children, right? Helping your children flourish into who they're called for. And so often as mothers, we get so busy with all these things, and it's no wonder we don't have time for our kids. And that's different from what you're doing, because you're involving your boys in this gorgeous process where they are beginning to pick up the vision for it as well. And what you are doing, it's like it's almost like you're reaching into the core of the earth.
Yes, I feel
and
like
like giving it a little bit of a charge, like almost a little bit. I was gonna, what is that? CPR. CPR on the core, on the mother heart of the earth, because it's so needed, and mothers need so much encouragement and hope, right? That their kids have been put with them for a reason, Like, there's a reason that your boys were given to you, because you have what you need inside you, Shika, for them to grow up into the men that they are called to be. You are the only mother on the planet who can do that for them.
Right.
The only mother, and that's why they've been given to you to help them do that. And it's the same with every mother. And if mothers begin to understand that, and yes, we're able to connect to that heartbeat. Yeah, I'm absolutely enamored with the vision that you have, and kind of gobsmacked with how much you're doing.
No, I'm not doing, and at the same time, I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it. It's just that I can now see it, and I feel that I can see it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what it was. And
Yeah.
like, all this while we're talking about, let's save the planet, let's save trees, let's save this, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody everything that's getting extinct, is there is the mother pulse that's giving up on that, and that's why that's getting extinct. Nobody's understanding it, and I'm not saying that like men have no this thing. Yes, because the men are going to be released through the mother into the world. They can only do what they can, whatever we like send them through. That's how powerful we are. And who told us that we were not powerful? Who decided to tell us that?
Wow.
you know
Come
um
on.
you know
Yep.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And look at, and like, if you like again drone out, if you see the big thing, like, again visuals come, somebody's carefully putting her, like, okay, Therese is put here, and then Laurette is put here. Yes, she, like, this one should be definitely a girl, because they have it in them to be part of that pulse. Okay, Shikha
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a girl because she has it in her to be part of the mother pulse, because she has everything in her that she can take care of it. And now we just, I think, getting scattered and not aligned with it. And every time I'm talking about it, I've started telling myself, every time I'm feeling a little lost, and I'm like, what would you do if you were that pulse? Because, of course, so much COVID is happening, so much is happening, and I close my eyes and I say, what would you do if you were that pulse? And I would,
Love
the answer
that.
comes is, I would nurture this situation. I know how to deal with it, and I know how to form this, and I will nurture this. And I go back, and suddenly I've solved it, because it's only when I'm not talking to that pulse as a woman, as a mother, I'm lost and I don't know the answer. But when I ask
Yes.
myself, what would you do if you see that pulse, and I see this pulsating thing with the very vibrant color, and things change. Things change.
That's,
So,
you're basically seeing your core essence, your spirit, which I was talking about, that spring under the earth, which just like it wants to be free. And you've managed to find a way to still everything down and say, okay, I am the pulse. I'm going to listen to the pulse. What would the pulse do? I see myself as a mother hen with all of these little chicklings that come under my wings, because my whole life is helping women heal. And when I get stressed about my business or anything, I just say to myself, well, I got to be as a hen. What would a hen do today? Well, a hen would take care of her chicks. And all I do is listen to that energy of being a mother hen. And then I just know the next thing to do, because it just removes all of the distractions, all of the junk, all of the noise, all of the confusion. And you're doing exactly the same thing. You're basically listening to the calling that you have on your life. It's just incredible. And the fact that your boys are getting to see this, they're going to be able to identify that, what it is inside of them, which is super cool. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they end up doing when that, like, if you're doing this, then bam.
yes, yes, and
Yeah.
I think, that mother pulse, it's not, it's going to be mistaken, and I must just say this, that it's not that mother pulse is a giver. She does give. She forgets about herself. She's a very powerful thing. She does the right thing. That pulse does the right thing. There are some times that the mother has to take charge to, like, even if you watch nature, there are times that, like, these little bears are just going out of the cave. The mother just, like, goes up and puts them in a very hard way,
Mm-hmm.
without thinking even once that this is what's the right thing to do. So I'm not saying that you have to be this giver and nurturer only, but yes, you will know exactly what to do. Okay, now it's time to be. So this is my book, and if the book is not falling. So I'm like, what would you do if you were that Mother Pulse? Like, what would you do
Yeah.
in this book if you were that Mother Pulse? And I'm like, okay, when the stories are stopping, I need to take charge to figure out, hey, sit down, what's happening to you? That's what a mother will do. And I will do it in the most nurturing and loving way and say, what's happening to you, Lorraine? Why are you having tough time writing this story? What is the resistance? Not, oh
Mhm.
my God, I'm trying to take out a book and then things are not happening. I keep going back to life and I'm like, how can I help you? What is it that I can do? That's what a mother will do. So then I align myself and I'm like, again, just get out of this thing. This is your book. What would you do to this book to get it out? And I'm doing that with many things. And I think by the time these 100 interviews are over, I feel something is there, definitely for me and for many people waiting when the 100th happens, the mark happens. So I don't know what.
Wow.
We'll uncover that. We'll uncover that. I've reached till here. I started as a self portrait. I've reached till here. We'll see where we're reaching. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Alright, what's the dream? What is Laurette's dream? What's her dream?
Okay, number one, frickin' grandchildren. Hello, kids. I want some grandchildren.
Yeah.
That's my number one goal. I want lots of them as well. So anyway, I don't have any kids anyway that are producing yet, but I'm believing for it. So that's my number one dream. And for my husband and I to just have a really beautiful future together. But my dream truly is to reach thousands and thousands and thousands of hurting women, because what I see this vision of it's going to sound kind of gross, but it's like this auditorium, and there's just these hearts, these pulsating, bleeding hearts sitting on the seat. So I don't even see the woman, I just see the heart, and being able to teach her how to recognize where her light is, so she can start healing from the inside out. And I see it like in the shadow, and they're all in the shadows. And as I help them understand that the light that lives inside of them is greater than any darkness, and they begin to have that hope, and then they start believing in that hope, and then this light comes in, and they start healing one by one, because they're changing the way that they see themselves, because they've stopped battling against themselves. That is definitely part of a goal that I have. Another huge dream that I have would be to actually run a secure facility in downtown Seattle for rescued victims of sex trafficking and ex-prostitutes, just women that are, really, really, really quite damaged and are yet unable to go home, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hurt you are. Every heart wants to heal. Every heart can heal. Every brain wants to heal, and every brain can heal. It's just some of these women, they just need somebody to be there to hold their hand, take their hand, and lead them out of the darkness, so that they can start seeing the light for themselves and start believing in it. So I want to be all kinds of things. I want to be a writer. I want to be a speaker, but I don't want to be one of those people that just kind of stands on stage. I want to be the speaker that goes down in amongst people, takes their hands, pulls them out of the seat, and just speaks life into them, to the point where they know that it's their truth, and teach them how to identify that truth for themselves. That's what I want to do. Just see women set free and healed. And I don't mean like an emotional high where they go home from a retreat and it wears off after a few weeks. I'm talking about en masse neurolinguistics work, where they are changing the way that memories and the way that fears sit in their brain, because once you change a modality, it doesn't change back again. You change it in your brain. You change the way your brain cradles that memory. And when you do that, the fear just begins to dissipate, and it disappears. And suddenly you start seeing yourself, rather than identifying as shame. You don't have to tell yourself, I'm not shameful, I'm worthy, because you just see yourself in a whole new light, and you begin to see truth, which is what you're seeing about yourself, Shika. You're seeing this pulse, that this is what you're called to do, and you're quietening yourself down and seeing, I know you say, I don't hear my voice, but you do hear them, because eventually you turn to them, right? And you are hearing them, and you are seeing them for what they're called to be. And so you've got this whole beautiful project going on, and you have no idea yet really how it's going to fit into the scheme of their lives, but it's going to in some powerful, powerful way. You are such a light and so unbelievably beautiful and gorgeous. I just can't believe how much you're blessing the world and the healing that you're going to bring. Wow. It's just wow. It's just absolutely it's mind blowing to me, and it's just this feeling of utter expansiveness where you just want everybody honored and elevated. There's no, like I was talking at the beginning about when the measurement sits in and the judgment, the blame, the punishment, no measurement, just everybody just gets to be in their own gorgeous beauty and calling. And that's so much more powerful. And that's when healing starts to happen. So I love what you're doing. Anyway, that's my big dream.
Thank you so much. And it's like lots of dreams, like not one big dream.
Yes, no, I got lots.
Because dreaming is a good thing. And as far as I'm concerned, I really don't know where I'm going. I keep saying this too. I started and I reached here, and I don't know where I'm reaching. But only thing I know now that this must be done. I don't know what must be done. I don't know what must be done. But I know this must be done. It's there. It'll come out. What must be done, but this must be done. And I think a lot of healing for me, for many mothers, will come. And we and the beauty of that mother pulse is it doesn't need anybody. It just needs like us to know that it's there and to just place ourselves back into it. We just have to quietly come and place ourselves back in that alignment. And whether we are moms or we are not, but as women, we need to align ourselves still to the mother pulse, because the minute we align ourselves, it'll take care. Everything will start changing. Extinctions will stop happening. A lot of world, like, I don't know how much time will it take to change, how much time will it, but we 100 can. And I know even in these 100, a lot of reluctancy is there. I can see it, but we will get them, because that's why the mingle that's happening from the one who doesn't know to the one who knows, and the one who believes and the one who doesn't believe, all are together in this vessel, right? But the multiply will happen when this whole concoction comes together. It will lead us to the pulse. So let's see where we are headed. And thank you so much. It's
wonderful.
so beautiful. I'm going to really definitely see some great stuff. Laurette, you are doing some incredible stuff, and people like you are needed as well. I'm so glad that you're here in the book, because from here I'm also taking women now in spotlight, and making sure that by the time the book is getting cooked up and getting designed at the back end after these interviews, I will keep bringing mothers on, putting spotlights on them, so that anyway they start flourishing. So my effort is there to give them that space, because we've got the eyes of what we're talking about, and now we need to tell everybody that this is what we do. And once the mother starts flourishing, this whole thing is going to be amazing. So I'm so happy that you are here.
Love that. Thank you so much. By the way, I love your cardigan. Is it a cardigan or a top? Your little, I love your shirt. It's so pretty.
This is the typical Indian work. It's called chicken work. And this it's a hand embroidered
dress. Oh my gosh, it's just beautiful.
Just if I can show it to you. I mean,
yeah. Oh gosh, it's so pretty.
But this is all thread work. It's all white thread flowers.
Oh wow, that's really pretty. I love it.
Okay, I wanted to show off my dress. I was standing up and showing it to you as well. Yeah. And the lower part has a beautiful garden. Like, this is small flowers, and then there's a beautiful garden.
Oh really? Oh
yes. No, I need to show it to you.
Yeah, stand on your chair. Oh my gosh.
So there's a lot of flowers and a lot of stuff happening. Right
I love it. It's so pretty. I love the color as well.
Colors in this.
Yay.
Laurette, let's go. Therese has been there to support us through and through. And I'm sure many people are going to. Therese has been there. Melanie.
Yeah, Therese is amazing. I just love her to pieces. So, I actually get to see her next week, which is going to be a huge treat. So, yeah.
Therese is so inspiring herself. It's amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Therese, for being here, for supporting us. And there'll be a lot of replay comments which will come. And thank you so much, Laurette. I'm just going to go off live and then we can say bye bye to this interview, but just a big,
Okay.
just a big